You know, we like to keep a close eye on all the big moves in tech, even the ones that don't seem to make any sense. Well, my dear, dear friend, Kara Swisher, is here to give us her view. She is the editor-at-large of New York Magazine, host of the podcast Pivot, and On with Kara Swisher, and the author of the new memoir, which you're not even going to get to see until next March. But I'm going to show you this badass, amazing cover, Burn book, a tech love story. As I said, it comes out next year. I'm so happy to see you.
Thank you.
You look great, as always.
Thank you. You do, too.
All right, talk to us.
Yeah.
Elon Musk and Zuckmarkerberg, as I like to call him. First, I don't want to start with the cage match first. Let's talk business, because the tension between the two of them and business is only growing. It was a few weeks ago, you were like, Threads, it's here to take on the world. And I'll tell you, we all signed up for it. But I feel like it's losing a little bit of its mojo. She says no.
I don't think so. I think these things grow and slowly. I use it regularly now, and I don't use Twitter as much except to tweak Elon and Mark Zuckerberg. That's really pretty much my Twitter experience right now. But I think it's, these things take time to grow. There's a lot of them. And as Twitter, which I'm not calling it X, whatever they want to call it, gets a worse and worse experience, they're going to see fall off, just like anything else. I'm not so sure anyone's going to prevail in some way.
Why?
Because there doesn't have to be a central place. I think a lot of social media is dissipating, and young people don't use it. I mean, if you look at the numbers, it's all people our age, sorry to say, old. And it's not a demographic that's younger. I watch my own kids, in 18, 20. They don't use stuff like this. They don't need to declare themselves. So,
but even a year ago, think about how Twitter, with all of its flaws a year ago, in many senses was like a public utility, right? News broke, something was happening.
Sure.
You didn't turn on the television, sad for me. You quickly turned to Twitter.
Yes.
Are you seeing that change?
I think a lot of people are finding other ways to communicate, and it's not necessarily like Instagram, of course, is doing really well. That's a Meta property. So I do think there's going to be, I don't think any of them are a very big business. That's the thing. Everybody thinks they're a big business. I don't think they're a big business. And if you look at the revenues, even if Threads did really well, it would be an $8 to $10 billion business, which isn't very big for Facebook, right? It's a smaller part of their experience. And Instagram is so much bigger. And obviously their other properties are bigger. And so Twitter is not very big. It's declined from 5 to maybe under 2. That's a small business.
Are they doing anything to solve their, I'm going to call it, revenue crisis, right? Their biggest issue was advertisers. They brought in my former colleague, Linda Yaccarino. They've now rebranded, changed the name to X, which seems bananas, especially when you think of it as an internet property. All that's going to get you is fast track to porn. What's happening on that front?
Well, I don't know. I haven't heard a lot from advertisers about her. She's clearing her schedule to go to the cage match. That's what I know from her tweets recently. I don't think people feel that it's a better platform than it has been. And if you look at some of the ads, they're for cleaning your earwax out, or there was a swivel seat that you could get in your car if you were an older person.
I get pushed more content from Tommy Chong of Cheech and Chong. I'm like, what? I'm not even understanding. Like, what's in my algorithm that I now know everything happening in his life?
Everybody's getting it. So clearly, advertisers are not there, and Hollywood, which should stay there with movies, is having problems, obviously, with the strike. But that's past right now. The summer movie time is past, and so that revenue stream dries up. And so I'm not seeing big ads for the people you used to see there, although I never saw that many ads on Twitter because it's not a very good ad platform.
Let's actually talk, though, about this cage match, right? We joke about it like it's this absurd idea. You have two of the most powerful businessmen, right?
Yeah.
They control huge conduits for news and information, possibly about to get in a big old fist fight.
Yeah.
What does this tell us about the state of the world?
That it's being run by adult toddlers, I guess, that they have to have a slap fest, a sweaty slap fest, where they have to grab each other in various nether regions of their body. I don't know. I don't understand it in any way, and I think it's sad and pathetic, really, actually.
But if you're on the board of either of these companies, right, if you're a lender to Twitter, now X, are you feeling proud of this? Think about the scrutiny, right? Your average Fortune 500 CEO is under what they're allowed to do, what they're allowed to say.
Right. I texted some of the board members and I said, I really hope you get sued. for this, because this is kind of ridiculous. And look, Mark likes to do this. I'm very happy that he's gotten in shape. He wasn't in the best of shape before. He was a skinny guy. He loves it. He obviously has a great enthusiasm for it. That's a great thing. So what? But does he have to do it this way? And I think it brings him down, actually, to be doing this with Elon, who would do just about anything. So I don't think he's ahead of Elon in social media, at least. And he's sort of, Meta's getting revived a little bit. They're not quite well, I guess I'd use a boxing metaphor, on the canvas as much as they were. And Elon's sort of become the new Mark Zuckerberg, essentially, of this era. And so now he's going to grapple with him in a sweaty manner. And they're raising money. Great. Good for them. But they don't need
to raise money. They could just give the money. I want to talk about some other media billionaires. Peter Thiel, who you know well, Rebecca Mercer, reportedly throwing their money behind none other than Tucker Carlson and his fledgling media company. What do you know about this?
I don't know a lot about it. That makes sense to me. Why wouldn't they? They've done it before. They did it with Bannon and others. And so he's probably the most important conservative media, right wing, I'd say, media person. It makes perfect sense. If you see someone like Ben Shapiro or some of the others on the right doing really well with their media properties, it would make sense to do so. I wouldn't do it, but I'm not surprised.
But this almost reminds me of, the Jason Aldean song is really just big business figuring out how do we monetize the MAGA base, right? That song came out in May. And you know who noticed it? A grand total of no one.
Right.
Come July, they're like, we need to make a video. Let's make it just provocative enough, with just enough dog whistles and offensive enough to nail that MAGA base, and it shoots to #1.
Sure.
When will people figure out they're playing you?
Well, actually, the first line of my book is, it turns out it was capitalism after all. So that's what, they said they're going to change the world. They just want to make bucks. The same thing with the MAGA people. They want to make bucks off of people. So that's the way it goes.
All right, I want to talk about AI, right? It's what everyone is talking about, right? People are excited about it. They're afraid of it. What is your current view of it, especially as it relates to workers? Because we're at a moment where it seems like every other industry is facing labor issues, potential strikes, and maybe big business is sitting back saying, maybe labor doesn't have the power it once did with AI right around the corner.
I think they are saying that, and everybody's looking for efficiency. The year of efficiency, as Zuckerberg called it, and I think a lot of businesses are doing that. I just did a panel this weekend at the Martha's Vineyard Book Festival, of all places, but it was with Ben Smith, Geraldine Brooks, amazing novelist, Rebecca Mackay, and Jacob Weisberg, and we were talking about the impact on writers. But you could pick anybody where it's an impact on lawyers, an impact on doctors, an impact on... What's interesting about this is an impact on white-collar workers more than anybody else with the AI revolution, because it's about words and text and knowledge. And so they're becoming panicked. Well, they didn't mind when mechanized farming went into place and they got $4 strawberries. They didn't mind when Amazon Prime delivered for free in automated warehouses. But now that it's coming for them, they're very concerned about the situation. It is what it is.
What is your feeling about AI?
I think, I'm worried about some of the more problematic things, like killer robots and things like that. I think there should be a global initiative around what we can't do, just like we do with nuclear weapons, like we do with cloning and things like that. For one, there should be a global initiative on what shouldn't be allowed to be made. I think there's going to be a boom in all kinds of startups, and I think that's exciting. I think Congress needs to enter the picture and start to create guardrails before it gets out of hand, even if it's not perfect. And they are. I'm meeting with a lot of people, from the White House to senators and stuff like that, about what's going to happen. And I think they should begin to anticipate what could happen and then adjust it to allow the innovation to happen here in this country versus other countries like China, where it's used for surveillance. And it certainly could be here, but jobs are going to change no matter how you slice it. And you have to figure out where you fit in terms of creativity or things like that. But everyone is talking about it. I got my hair cut today, and I turned to my hairdresser and I said, you will not be affected by AI, because AI can't do that yet. Robots can't do that yet.
Not if you want to look as good as Kara.
Yeah, that's true.
Great to see you.